lot of senses, Sarposh is an ode to my great grandfather. He was a great lover of wazwan, a great patron of wazwan. I created a WhatsApp group to see if I could call a bunch of friends over for a potluck.
Okay.
From what was supposed to be a 10 people gathering turned into a 1,000 people gathering. That's when I flew in my chefs from Kashmir, because my research.
The wazas.
Yes. So this is the stone slab, and that's the wooden mallet.
I feel like I've been transported to a waza's kitchen in Kashmir, in Srinagar somewhere. Huh? I can see some goshtabae there. Huh?
Yes.
So that's a yogurt.
Yes, that's a curd and mint paste gravy. There is some rogan josh being prepared over here. So it's in its stock at the moment. You must try this while it's nice and hot.
Oh!
And we like to have it with salted butter.
Oh, lovely. I can actually visualize a dollop of butter placed on this hot girda. Have you heard of authentic Kashmiri cuisine here in Bengaluru? Well, that's what we're about to explore. This is Kripal, Amanna, Gourmet on the Road, and you're watching Food Lovers TV. Let's go. Well, we are at Sarposh Restaurant and Tea Room, and their tagline says, "Experience Kashmir." So needless to say, I'm looking forward to savoring some authentic Kashmiri food.
Hello.
Hello, namaskara.
Namaskar, welcome.
How are you doing?
Glad that you're here. Thank you so much. In absolutely fantastic spirits now that you're here.
Thank you very much. Well, this place is almost like an oasis when compared to the hustle and bustle and the din of the street down below. Huh?
That's what we envisioned to create. I'm glad you can see that.
Wonderful. Wow, I don't know where to begin.
So we get started?
Yes, let's go.
Okay, I'll take you around in the sequence that I actually designed this place in.
All right.
So when I actually took
Before all that, I'm with Azmat Ali Mir.
Yes, you're with Azmat Ali Mir and I own Sarposh.
So it was your brainchild.
It was something that had a lot of different factors in the cosmos aligning, and finally putting it together. But yes, this is something that is a small passion project and a little baby of ours.
All right, and needless to say, you are Kashmiri.
Yes, I am.
Yes, and wonderful. So tell us what Sarposh is all about.
Okay, so traditionally, Kashmiri food is served on a large copper platter, which is called a trami.
Trami, that's
And
right.
there's a cloche that covers the trami called the Sarposh.
That's right.
And Sarposh is also a metaphoric Kashmiri word which basically means lifting the lid of a secret or concealing a secret, so to say. So Sarposh is quite literally lifting the lid of the secrets of Kashmiri food in Bangalore.
Wonderful, and which is what we also hope to do a little bit in this episode.
Absolutely.
So how did Kashmiri food, I mean all the way down south, we're not all the way down south, but we're still considerably south when you compare it to where Kashmir is. How did that happen?
So I moved to Bangalore in 2018 after I got married, and I'm a computer science engineer by education. So I followed that natural progression of going into a corporate job and doing all of that. But I think I got disillusioned very soon because I knew this was not something that I wanted to do. I am a Kashmiri who wears Kashmir on her sleeve, quite literally. Moving into Bangalore, getting married into a non-Kashmiri family, I think I realized that not a lot of people, even within my own family, have a very good understanding of what Kashmiri food is about. So there are a lot of people who, serve all sorts of things in the name of Kashmiri food, whether it's Kashmiri pulao or rogan josh, but those are not really authentic. And I realized that people don't really know what authentic Kashmiri food is.
So that's why
there was a gap in the market, and I thought it's about time we fill that.
Wonderful.
The first thing I wanted to be visible in this space was a slight window to Kashmir. So if you actually look at this is the Pinjra Kadi or the Jali
work.
artwork which came from the Mughals into Kashmir, and it is something that you'll find in every single shrine in Kashmir, in almost all the old houses.
Used?
Deodar wood.
Deodar wood,
yeah,
okay.
Deodar wood is used for this. You move on and you see carpets. It's one of those things that Kashmir is really recognized for. So chinar leaves, because chinar tree of course is very representative of Kashmir. So that's the shrine of Shah Hamdan. And I think it's very representative of Kashmiri culture in the sense of people sitting together and, you know, a very community.
That's right. And even when it comes to sitting down for meals, I think it's very communal, right? So everybody comes together and they enjoy, savor that meal experience.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. Pashmina shawls. They are hand-woven pashmina. There's a Kani pashmina and there's a loom pashmina. We've incorporated 14 different crafts from Kashmir into this space. And that's why the space is such an amalgamation of all the different things that it is. There's a lot of paper mache that you see over here. And I think that's one of those things that's the closest to my heart amongst all the things that's here, because it is from my great-grandfather's paper mache karkhana that used to exist.
Wonderful.
So in a lot of senses, Sarposh is an ode to my great-grandfather. He was a great lover of wazwan, a great patron of wazwan. I think out of 365 days, 300 days in his house, the waza used to be there and cooking meals for a large number of people.
So you opened this in 2020.
Yes.
Just at the height of the pandemic.
Yes.
Of course, in hindsight, perhaps not the best time to open a new restaurant. And you said you spent a year going in. So was Bengaluru ready to receive Kashmiri food?
We actually did a small experiment to find out whether they were or not. I remember my tryst with this started with me being really bored in my corporate job and wanting to do something interesting. So I created a WhatsApp group to see if I could call a bunch of friends over for a potluck. From what was supposed to be a 10 people gathering turned into a 1,000 people gathering. We flew in bands and artists and comedians and poets from Kashmir. That's when I flew in my chefs, because my research Kashmiris of course absolutely loved it. This was the first time that they were outside Kashmir and getting real authentic Kashmiri food, including things that don't grow here like haq and lotus stem and all of that. But then, you know, we saw the gap in the market and we wanted to know if Bangalore would accept it, because of course Kashmiris will. So for a year we were a pop-up kitchen running from a really small kitchen space,
and it worked
extremely small. Yes, and we knew that, you know, we have.
And you had these wazas that you kept back after that festival that you did. Wonderful.
My core team, even today, is the same team that came in 5 years ago.
Oh, okay. Now tell me, I mean, when it comes to Kashmiri food, a lot of it goes back to the ingredients, right? You mentioned some of them, haq, or let's say even the color comes from the cockscomb flour, right? What do you call that in Kashmir?
Mawal. It's called mawal.
That's right.
Yes.
So are most of these ingredients flown in, or how do you?
So we have a tie-up with a local partner back in Kashmir who helps us with the logistics of it. The procurement is still handled by us. It's a very closely guarded family thing that still happens. My parents are both in their own jobs, but they support us with this.
Kashmir?
In Kashmir, yes.
Lovely.
And I go there almost every 2 to 3 months.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because Kashmir has 6 seasons. So with every season, there is a different produce that comes into the market, and there are different things that you get that you need to procure. So I sort out those things for almost a year. So as you said, of course, the color comes from the mawal. It also comes from the Kashmiri red chili, which is also one of those things that, you know, we spent a lot of time, effort and energy researching. So in Kashmir, what you get in the name of Kashmiri red chili is not Kashmiri red chili anymore, unfortunately. Seeds from bedgi were given to farmers in Kashmir to grow. And what they grow now is bedgi chili.
So basically the Byadgi chili has found its way to Kashmir. And it's grown there and is now marketed as Kashmiri chilies.
Yes, we took the seeds of the real Kashmiri chili, grew them in our own kitchen garden, and then got in touch with one of the ladies who was working for us and asked her if she would grow it in hers. We now have a network of 500 farmers who are growing red chili and all the other different things that we want for us.
Oh, wonderful. Wow. You know, this looks so ornamental and so heavy, but when you hold it,
it's super light.
It almost floats
because
in your
it's
hand.
paper.
Oh, wonderful. So this is gold.
The gold that you see in it is done in pure 24 karat gold.
Wow.
You don't get this anymore. This is a newer, you can see the difference between the gold in this and the gold in that.
This is very glossy,
This is
whereas
very,
this one has, there's a sheen and there's also a certain depth to this, right?
At this point of time, I work with craftsmen across 14 different craft sectors in Kashmir to connect them with customers who would directly order stuff.
So do you also sell these?
Everything that you see here is on sale.
Oh, really?
Yes. If you like something, you ask our staff. They'll share the prices with you and.
Oh, wonderful! I didn't know that.
Got a musical instrument called a tumbak nari, which is a clay instrument with sheepskin on it, and you kind of use it to play
Just
music.
percussion, okay.
Yes. This is one of the most interesting utensils that you get in Kashmir. It's called a samavar. This is the actual working size. This is a mini display size. The tea, kava goes in this. There's coal that goes into this. You close the lid. If you keep this lid open, it allows air circulation. The coal keeps burning and the tea keeps boiling. You close the lid, you stop the air circulation, and the tea stops boiling. Let's walk into the traditional seating area. It's called a bethak, a hammam. So a hammam in Kashmir is very different from a hammam in Turkey.
Which is a sauna.
Yes. A Kashmiri hammam is a room. It's a room which has a hollow base.
Okay.
Which is heated with firewood underneath. So it's
okay.
basically not even heated with firewood. It's heated by the air that passes through when you light the firewood on one end of the room.
Okay,
There are
so it
canals that
circulates.
you've made.
Wonderful.
And the smoke passes through those canals and basically heats up the floor of the room.
So I can actually visualize sitting in Kashmir on a cold evening for a meal and the warm air circulating through that. Wonderful.
Please come. You'll have to take off your
Yes.
shoes as is tradition. So these are wicker wood scraps. You make baskets from wicker wood and you make kangdis. I'll show you a kangdi as well. And then you take the scraps and make it into these.
When you come to Sarposh, don't plan on just coming here and having the meal. Keep an hour aside, and if you're lucky to find Azmat here, are you here always?
I'm here most of the time, but almost all of my staff is also trained to walk you through the entire experience.
All right. So that's how the meat is beaten.
Yes, that's how the meat is beaten. If you can actually hear it right now.
Oh, is that what they're doing?
That's what they're doing.
Pounding it for the ristae,
Yes,
the goshtabae, and all of that. Wonderful.
That's happening.
And these are copper vessels.
Those are copper vessels. Generally,
Okay.
it's cooked on firewood, which is made out of fruit trees.
Okay.
But of course, we can't really do that. Hopefully, someday. That's the ultimate aim and goal.
One of my aims, one of the things on my bucket list is to go to Kashmir and enjoy a proper wazwan.
You have to do that at a wedding. So get yourself an invite and you should be good.
So I'm hoping that now that I know her, she'll be a bridge to some of the people that she knows in Kashmir. Wonderful.
Absolutely. So we set this up as a small library. There's poetry, food, art, architecture, culture.
Why is that ukus bokus very familiar? Why is that phrase very familiar?
It's a song. It's a Kashmiri rhyme. It's gibberish. It sort of means ukus bokus. I mean, they do say that. He says it's not ukus bokus. It is hukus bokus. Who is he? Who am I? Then tell me who you are. So it's very mystical in that way, but I'm not really sure. Don't quote me on this. I mean, I'm not sure. Typical traditional Kashmiri headgear, and this is many years old. This belongs to my father's grandmother.
Oh, really? Okay.
There's a lot of family trivia, a lot of items here that belong to my family.
Wonderful.
In this space. It's called a kasab. This is the Muslim version of the kasab. There's a Pandit version as well, which is slightly different.
So you have different cuisine cultures as well, right? When it comes to Kashmiri Muslim cuisine, Kashmiri Pandit cuisine.
To be honest, it's actually not that different.
Okay.
Because home food for Pandits and Muslims is actually quite similar.
All right.
Because we do cook with mustard oil. There's small differences here and there, but those are not major.
And what would those differences be?
The use of hing in Kashmiri Pandit households.
There's no hing in.
There's no hing in the Muslim households. We'll use onion also. We'll use garlic also. But those are recent additions. Pran is something that Kashmiri Muslims.
So that's a wild shallot.
It's a wild shallot. Wazwan is exclusively cooked in pran.
So you must also share with me what those look like when we go into the kitchen.
We don't have the raw version of the prawn because it's not stable enough to bring here. We fry it, we process it in Kashmir, and we bring that here. I'll share some pictures with you, but I'll show you the processed version of the prawn.
Wonderful.
Here for sure.
Namaste. I can smell some smoky flavors already. Huh? So where do we go?
I want to walk you to the pounding area first.
Yes, let's go. Oh.
This is how the pounding basically happens.
Namaste. I think all of them are from Kashmir.
Yes.
आपके रंग से पता लगता है.
So this is the stone slab, and that's the wooden mallet. There's the fat that you have to incorporate additionally into the meat. And you pound the meat down to that consistency over there. This is lamb.
Correct. Which is sheep.
Yes.
So how many kilos is a typical lamb?
Around 11 to 12 kilos.
11 to 12 kilos. So are all of them from Kashmir?
Yes.
हाँ? क्या नाम है आपका?
मेरा नाम अब्दुल गनी लोन.
अब्दुल गनी लोन. आपका? इशफाक अहमद मागरी. आपका? जलाल अहमद. Wonderful. मेरे को यहाँ पे I've just come here and I feel like I've been transported to a wazzah's kitchen in Kashmir in Srinagar somewhere. Huh?
So this is how when you pound it down. So the texture of this becomes like that of a sausage.
Okay.
You pound it so fine, you completely break apart the fibers of the meat.
Okay.
You completely incorporate fat into this.
So how much would that fat be? 15-20%?
Not even that. It also depends on the kind of meat that you've got. This is called maaz in Kashmir.
Maaz. It's quite sticky in the manner it binds itself.
Yes.
So that's what a goshtabae.
We add black cardamom and
black
salt.
cardamom into this.
Yes, into this.
It's already there.
Yes, it's already there.
And these are ribs.
Yes, those are ribs. Yes, they'll be made into tabak maaz.
And what is that there?
Those are pieces for rogan josh, marchewangan korma. Those are shanks. So first things first, the entire carcass will come here, will be hung over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the carcass will be hung over there. It will be carved out. Once it's carved out, it will be laid out over here, and then different pieces will be cut out for different things. Hind legs, the thigh, that's the piece that is used for the pounding of the ristae and the goshtabae.
That's also probably the part which has the most muscle. Yes. It's like if you want to break that down.
Yes. So the first thing they do is they take that and they completely shave off all the meat from the bone and they start the pound. And after that he'll take it and beat it down to this. Then he'll pass it on to this guy.
With some more fat.
Yes,
with
some fat added.
Okay.
Then he'll pound it down. He's got that salt over there and he's also got black cardamom mixed into the fat already.
Wonderful.
He'll add that and keep incorporating that and emulsify it with ice cold water alongside.
So these are the various
These
fats.
are the lamb shanks.
Okay.
These are the mirchi korma pieces. This is for rogan josh.
For rogan josh.
Yeah,
so rogan josh has a bit of the nalli there.
It has a bit of nalli as well. It uses the back. This is the neck.
Because the dish is cooked over a period of time,
yes,
right?
Yeah. He's picking out all the veins from that.
Okay. So he's picking out all the veins.
He's picking that all out. Look, now he's passed it on and now he's gonna...
the fat is going in. Okay, wonderful. That's the salt.
Cold water.
He's doing the folding.
You see this? I love the way they use the ulta haath to fold.
Yeah. Oh, so they fold it in. They fold the fat in along with the salt and the cold water. And the fat also has some black cardamom.
Yes.
Well, that's a sort of meaty pillow that you
Yes.
can probably rest your head on.
Yes.
Huh? But we're not going to rest on any of that because we're going to find our way into the cooking part of the kitchen
zone.
and then savor an authentic Kashmiri meal cooked by these wazzahs from Kashmir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes.
preparation of the meat is a very important
Yes.
part, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think almost everything rests on the meat because this is such a meat heavy meal, and you have to have the right meat. You have to process it the right way. The pounding has to happen in the absolute right manner because all of those factors, if they don't fall into place, you're not going to be able to do anything over here. I'm going to introduce you to my head chef,
Okay.
who's in the middle of making some fancy goshtabas.
Goshtaba.
Yes.
So he's what do you call your wastawaza?
What's the wazzeh? Yes.
Wastawaza. Ah, what's your name?
Hussein.
Hussein. Wonderful. I can see some gushtaba there, huh?
Yes.
So that's a yogurt.
Yes, that's a curd and mint based gravy.
Wow.
And you can see the size of those meatballs.
Wonderful.
There is some rogan josh being prepared over here. So it's in its stock at the moment.
So how long does it take, Rogan Josh?
There's actually a calculation of how much meat goes into each day.
Okay.
This is a 15 seer. Seer is
Kilo.
15 kilos steak. So, there's a calculation. Atmaskuta piece, वो 25 pieces in a 15 seer ki
In a
deg,
15 seer, okay.
will go.
And these are all
Copper. These are made out of copper and these are really thick. Yeah, you can see this. It's a small deg, but you can see how heavy it is.
Oh.
It's a thick gauge.
I can see some lotus stem in that.
Yes, there you're in luck. There's some lotus stem that's available.
Wonderful.
So, nadur yakhin china?
Nadru.
Nadru.
Lotus
We'll serve
stem.
that to you.
So I'm also going to pick up some Kashmiri words by the time I'm done here, huh?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So these are heavy actually. And it's a pretty small deg, but it packs a punch and you can see portions of rogan josh is being made here. So the rogan josh will go from that to this.
And then it gets served out.
And
so the color here is from the
coxcomb
flower. What do you call it? Mawal.
Mawal, saffron, multiple different things.
ज़्यादा saffron use करते
ज़्यादा
saffron
saffron. तो इसमें saffron है.
अभी saffron डाला नहीं.
Last में डालोगे.
Last
तो
में डालेंगे.
aroma के लिए. Wonderful. और क्या बन रहा है यहाँ पे आज?
हैं
Dani phol. This is the lamb shank I was showing you inside.
What does dani phol mean?
Dani phol quite literally translates to lamb shank.
Wow, I love the size of the lamb shanks out here. And there's some cardamom in that, is
Yes,
it?
there is. We use a lot of khada masalas.
So
there are various levels of stock that we prepare. This is a clear broth.
Okay.
There's going to be another one. Jisme all the bones that we take out from that are going to be used.
So that will be darker.
Yes. And there's one which also uses the marrow, which goes into making the Kashmiri pulao.
Ah, the yakni.
This we don't call yakni. This we call maaz ras.
Maaz ras. Basically, literally translating to juice of the meat.
Yes, juice of the meat.
Wonderful.
So this is the pran, which
Okay.
is, I think, after the meat, the most important ingredient that you can have in Kashmiri food. It looks like a spring onion pod.
Huh.
It peels like a garlic. You have to chop it and then you have to deep fry it in
So this
ghee.
is grown wild.
It's grown wild. It's a wild shallot. I mean, there are a lot
It's
of
not
people.
grown, it's wild.
A lot of people who do farm it as well.
Oh,
now.
really?
But it is technically a wild shallot.
Can I?
Yes, of course. Please touch it. You can feel it. You can taste it.
Ah, it's quite dry.
It's fried in ghee.
Oh. It smells a bit like spring onion.
It does. Because it is probably from that family in a certain sense.
Can I taste it?
Yes, of course. There's a very bitterish taste that you'll get at the end.
Although somewhere it's slightly garlicky.
गार्लिक के जैसे लगता है
Garlic जैसा लगता
Garlic नहीं होता
है.
है.
Garlic नहीं है. तो ये बस प्राण है बस.
प्राण है, सिर्फ प्राण.
And of course I can taste all the tuppa, the
Yes,
ghee.
yes,
हाँ, घी में
yes,
ये तल जाता है.
Yes.
So that's how you process it. Then you bring it here.
Process it and we bring it.
So हर dish में ये जाता है.
मिल जाता है हर डिश में जाता है.
I think there's plenty of the fat
Yes.
that I can
Yeah.
now taste on
Yes.
my palate.
And you have to really deep fry it. So this grows in the month of June and July. So I travel there myself trying to source the right pran, and because it's underground, some of it is wet, you have to leave it to dry. Then after that you have to peel it. Then after peeling it needs to be spread out immediately because you can't leave it because the water content will immediately cause rotting. So somebody needs to come and start the chopping.
So it's a whole process.
It's a whole process. So you have to chop it and then immediately after chopping you can't leave it So there's such a strong pungent smell that you get out of it, and you know it's really overpowering. And then you have to fry it, and there's these huge dregs, much larger than these dregs that you have, and you fill them to the brim with ghee, and then you fry them. So you have to cook them just right so that they're golden brown. Any darker and it's gone.
So tell me, when you use this, because I can taste a lot of the fat, a lot of the ghee in that.
Yes.
Does it mean you use less ghee when you're actually cooking with this? Or?
No, with our food, there's no oil that goes into the food at all, and there's a lot of ghee that goes into our food. It's a lot of rich flavor.
And of course, also, I mean, Kashmir is a very cold climate, so you need that chahiye na thoda fat to keep you warm.
Lots of meat, lots of fat, and lots of bread, which is what I would want.
Lots of bread, fantastic.
Yeah. We get the whole flour of the cockscomb.
Okay.
But you know, in a busy kitchen, the processing of the whole flour becomes really difficult. So now what we're doing is we're doing the processing there and getting just the powder here. Within that powder itself, also it has to be boiled, and indigo dye of sorts is released. Then that dye is strained, and that is what is used for the coloring agent.
So the indigo is blue, right?
Yes, it's an almost indigo purplish shade that comes
Then
out.
how does it become red?
As soon as it mixes with the turmeric. This is how the powder is processed. So
it almost smells sour.
yes.
इसका टेस्ट कैसा होता है?
टेस्ट थोड़ा सा कड़वा लगेगा।
कड़वा लगेगा।
गर्म पानी में
अच्छा।
डाल के फिर छानना पड़ता है।
छानना पड़ता है। उससे वो रंग निकलता है। रंग क्या होता है? लाल होता है?
लाल।
But the actual red color, bright red color also helps. The red chili is what helps. So these are sun dried.
So this is Kashmiri red chili.
Kashmiri red chili.
These are not very thick, huh?
No.
Because I see
Those
some.
are Shimla mirchis. Those are also sold in the name of Kashmiri chili, but those are Shimla.
No, I've
This
seen
is
not
a
very
red.
thick, but I've seen
No.
chilies that are twice the thickness of
No,
this.
this is a proper
This is a proper
original
Kashmiri
red
chili.
chili.
All this comes from Srinagar.
All this comes from Srinagar.
So इसमें spice नहीं होता. There's not spice.
It is spicy.
So
The spice head comes towards the end of the meal. It's not an immediate spice head.
So it's not sort of spice that will
No,
grip hold of
no,
your tongue
no.
the moment you.
No, but it will build on at the very end, depending on how much is used. So when this is used in a rogan josh, you won't feel the spice at all because of the quantity of the red chili used. But in a mirchi korma, this is a major ingredient, and this is not used whole as a chili. You soak it in water, then you blitz it and use the water of the chili. You don't really use the seeds or the skin of the chili as such.
So speaking of which, Kashmiri food is also very nuanced, very subtle,
Yes,
right? And
yes. In terms of flavor, yes, because when you look at it visually, almost everything looks very similar. A rogan josh and a ristae and a marchewangan korma, if you put them in front of you, and a goshtabae as well. A goshtabae is the same meatball in white gravy. Ristae is the same meatball in a red gravy. But every single dish tastes completely different. So that's my bread chef, Mohiddin. The baker in Kashmiri is called a kandur.
Kandu.
Kandur.
Kandur. Kashmiri kandur.
Yeah, kandur.
आपका नाम?
गुलाम मोहिद्दीन सोफी।
Ghulam Mohiddin Sofi.
So Mohiddin sir but Thandiya the open.
So I assume you've asked him to make some bread.
Yes.
So bread is an integral part of
Yes,
Kashmiri food.
Kashmiri food is incomplete without breads.
Okay.
But we do bread in the morning for
Okay.
breakfast. We don't have our bread with our gravies. We have our bread with our teas.
So when it comes to Kashmiri food, the waza azam are all men.
All the wazas are men, all the kandurs are men.
ये क्या मैदा है?
Yes.
हाँ मैदा है।
So what is this bread called?
It's
क्या
called
बोल-
girda.
किसके साथ
हाँ,
खाते हैं ये यहाँ पे?
इसके मटन के साथ।
But normally Kashmir में you have it with chai.
Yeah. But we also do have this with meat every once in a while. There's something called a concept of maaz in Kashmir. Sot or means breads and maaz means meat.
Bread and
meat. Yeah, bread and meat. The concept is that it's like a high tea when you're not really serving rice, but you're serving a couple meat dishes along with the rice.
Is this leavened? Is this
Yes,
fermented?
yes, it is. It's all sardo. We brought the culture also from Kashmir. So this culture is at least 200 years running.
Ah, so the culture, the
Culture,
starter is
the
from
starter is
Kashmir.
from Kashmir. And
तो
it's
ये क्या है?
ये lawasa. This is
लवास.
yeah.
तो लवाश क्या थोड़ा अलग होता है?
Yeah, lawasa is like a thin naan. So this is how it's sold in Kashmir. A full bread like this. You take as many as you need for your family.
When you
Sometimes
hold
one.
warm bread, huh?
It's the best feeling.
It's
Please
the best
taste it.
feeling. The atta for both the girda and the lavasa, which is this, is the same.
It's the same.
Okay, so what really is different is the texture.
The texture is different, and
Okay.
let's see how much of a difference
Would you
that
like some?
is. I don't mind actually. Thank you so much. There's a milk mixture that he has.
Ah.
The milk that you need to use for this is a specific kind of powdered milk. He doesn't put that on the lavasa. He puts it on the girda to achieve that brown color on it.
This you would eat with some tea.
Yes. You know, you have noon chai and then you have kava, but this is generally had with either noon chai or with.
It also has a texture which
Yeah.
is basically, it makes it a great sponge.
Yes. You must try this while it's nice and hot.
Oh!
Sorry, I hope I didn't burn it.
No, it's okay. I got this lavas
Which is acting as a plate.
maybe you can just break it.
Yes.
It's very hot.
Actually very hot.
This is more
Yes.
scrumptious,
Yes.
like a cookie almost.
Yes. There's a crispy crust and a gooey center.
There's also a bit of a salty edge
Yes.
to it.
Yes. Because there is salt added to this, and we like to have it with salted butter.
Oh, lovely. I can actually visualize a dollop of butter placed on this hot girda, and as that butter melts and oozes into these crevices, I can actually imagine the flavor of that girda.
What we generally do is we take a salted pink tea that we drink, the noon chai. We break this apart and we just add it to the pink tea. Add a dollop of butter inside and just spoon it and have it like
love
that.
this bread. It's also a little toasty.
Yes.
It's crunchy on the top, soft inside.
Yeah. Also, there's a timing for how these breads work, because in Kashmir everything works like clockwork.
Correct.
So they're made in the morning and then you won't get them fresh if you go say at 11 o'clock. So different breads at different times.
Now when you speak of bread
Yeah.
is principally the flour and the water.
Yes, yes.
Right? So the water of Kashmir
Yeah.
is very different from
Yes.
the water here.
Yeah.
And the flour, I'm
Yes.
sure there even
Yeah.
must be different.
Yeah.
So how do you...
It's not made so much of a difference, to be
Yeah.
honest, with the bread especially.
Ah.
Even the tandoor is different there. The tandoor there is a sunken tandoor, which is in the ground, and it's powered by wood fire and not coal. So we've done a lot of R&D, spent again, I think 6-7 odd months of working with a lot of tandoors, trying to get this process right, trying to get the heat right, the overall texture of the bread right, the how much, because the amount of sourdough that we use in Kashmir is different from the amount of sourdough that we use here. So all of those things we've really had to spend a lot of time researching and getting right.
Something to try when you come here. The girda.
Yes.
Wonderful. I'm just wondering if I should carry the bread out as I head to the restaurant to savor a Kashmiri meal, an authentic Kashmiri meal that has been cooked by this team of wazas who've come in from Srinagar and made Bengaluru their home for the last few years.
So this is the ristae, the pounded meatball. The next is the rogan josh. The next is the marchewangan korma,
The marchewangan, which is red chili.
red chili korma. And then you have the goshtabae.
If you'd like to support the work that we do at Food Lovers TV, do consider joining our membership community on YouTube by hitting the join button below or on the home page. You could pledge a nominal sum and receive special privileges like behind the scenes footage, shoot updates, access to live Q&As and a lot more. You could support us on our Patreon page as well. For more info, check out the links in the description below. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, share and leave a comment below. Happy eating!